I'm awesome. Do
Good
I look
afternoon,
okay?
everyone. We are back. We are back. We are back. This is the last day of the Author Showcase Book Fair Tour. And on my platform now, I have Sylvia Hubbard. How are you today, Sylvia? How are you?
I am beautiful now that I am sitting in front of the magnificent Queenie.
Thank you. All right, tell us all about you, your books, and where we can find you at.
So I am an urban suspense, romance, intrigue, dark thriller author. And that basically means I like people to fall in love and I like people to die. So, and we usually take place in Detroit because I write what I know and I write what I love, which I love Detroit. And most of the majority of all my stories are standalone. So even though you see a series, it's usually like a situation series,
Mhm.
or it's cousins or brothers that have a story of their own. So I kind of stick with that as standalone because I don't like doing really long series out. And I see authors doing like 5 and 7 book series, and I can't do that. That's just too much for me. I'm like, let's get love going and then go to the next love story. So I guess my whole mission in life is just to write a trillion love stories because I think there's so many ways to fall in love and there's so many people who need love. So
Mhm.
I'm just
Mhm.
on that wonderful mission. And as of now, I have over 50 books available. And
Okay.
you can catch me up at my website. Always come to update and subscribe at sylviahubbard.com. And of course, I'm available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, of course, iBooks, Nook. Somebody told me last night, don't forget the Nookers. So I don't forget the Nookers. I do have it on Google Play, so you can reach me there. A lot of people had hit me up about that too. That's becoming since COVID, it's becoming a really big pull down. I
Mhm.
was like, I didn't realize that like people who have Google phones are really using their Google Book app now. So they're like, can you put more books on Google Books? So I have been doing that as well. And of course, I got paperback books and ebooks. So you take your choice. I have them in the Kindle Unlimited and so forth. So wherever you want to find books, you should find me.
Okay.
You, you can even support your indie bookstores and even order my books as well through that as well. So yes, I have them pretty much everywhere.
Okay. Okay. Tell us about your books.
Okay, so right here are the books I do have available that I'm sitting at home on. So I wanted to make sure that when I offer books to the readers tonight, especially, that you're going to get your book tomorrow, or I mean next week, in 7 days, right? In 7 days. So I wanted to make sure I had the books on hand that I was going to be discussing. So I have a flurry of these books in stock. The first one is, I'm going to go from oldest to newest. Hold on, let me change this over. So my oldest one is Deceptive Nights. So Deceptive Nights, I kind of wrote after I had written a psychological suspense. And it's a girl who, she's pretty much running her boss's business who treats her like crap. And then she decides to take a break and meet this guy on a one night stand, and come to find out it's her boss's boyfriend. Oops.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a oopsie. But this was like a really great love story that I got into. And things happen and love happens in unexpected ways. And that's what I love about that one. This is a new cover. So people know me like all the way back from 2000. So if you had the older cover, the book is still the same, Deceptive Nights, but I changed the cover to make it a little bit more sexier. I like Detroit in the background. So when I had an opportunity to work with a cover designer who wanted to play with my covers, I was like, oh, go ahead. So she got into it and really loved it. So the next book is part of the Mistaken Identity series. And remember, I say I like to write about situations. So even though this says Mistaken Identity 1.5, it's actually the situation. These are polyamorous books. If you don't know about polyamorous romances, that means usually there's a group of people who love each other. So most times I deal with just 2 men and 1 woman. So it's a polyamorous romance that takes place.
Okay.
This is how can she resist her boss and his brother? In this book, she is hired actually by this guy who needs her to run part of his business, but then he knows he's dying of cancer as well, and he needs his brother to take over his business instead of giving it over to his father, who's his sole guardianship. And it's his ousted brother from the family, which no one loves. But the only way he can do it is if she marries his brother, and then they kind of all get together and kind of fall in love. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I kind of it was my second attempt at polyamorous. That my first attempt was the Mistaken Identity. It's the first Mistaken Identity book, and it's just called Mistaken Identity. And then I decided to delve in it again because I had interviewed couples, polyamorous, real life polyamorous couples,
Mhm.
um, that not just was there because it was just a situation. They really did love each other, and it really opened my eyes to how people love, and what you say is love and what other people describe as love. So I came up, just from sitting and talking with couples, I came up with like 12 good stories.
Oh, wow.
And I think I've only done 5 of those stories. So yeah, there's more to come. That's why you should go and to my website and subscribe for updates, or at least subscribe on Amazon to my Amazon author page. Oh, so the next book I have is Tanner's Devil. So I'd never, even though my books take place in Detroit, I really never wrote about a pimp at all and a prostitute. This book was actually a challenge from my readers. So I put it out to my readers: give me a female protagonist, give me a male protagonist, and then I'll write about him. No matter what the protagonist, they don't have to even do with the story. They didn't get a storyline or anything. They just gave me 2 protagonists, and then we thought of a situation. So first they thought of Tanner, who was an ex-prostitute, trying to get her medical degree. She's trying to become a doctor. And she needs to pay off her loan in order to graduate. She's so behind on payments that she just needs a big chunk of change. And she doesn't want to get back into the life again, which is why she was becoming a doctor. And then they thought of Devlin, who he turned out to be a duke. Somebody put it down there. He's got to be a duke somehow. And he ends up in Detroit. And I was like, at no point, why would a duke end up in Detroit?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got it to work. And Devlin actually has a long line. His family controls a certain part in England, was actually bequeathed a duke by the Queen of England. And he's a long line of virgins. So men must stay virgins until they get married. So Devlin has waited all his life to get married. And then he meets a girl, and his brother cheats with his wife before they got married up in the UP to this grand wedding. And Devlin runs down to Detroit just to say, F it, forget all this, rules and regulations. I'm just going to find the first prostitute and get rid of my virginity. And guess who comes through the door? Tanner.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Tanner's ex pimp doesn't like her taking jobs behind his back. So it becomes a huge conflict of interest, I guess you could say. So yes, she has to, and on top of that, her ex pimp is still in love with her. He was also her ex boyfriend. So it's huge thing, and he comes after them, really hard and everything. So this was kind of a fun book to write, and it really went off the imagination. But I really did keep it real because I wanted to make sure that I was sticking to customs and standards. So I got to know, like, how do you become a duke, and is it still possible? Like, would it be able to do that? And so I figured all of that out. made sure I was really true to the word,
Mhm.
and then brought a really good urban suspense to life. So yeah, that was fun. Okay, so this was Dark Facade. Dark Facade was, I guess, I would say my one of my fourth controversial books. So it's basically about a secret society, a secret sex society in Detroit, where men of wealth are able to buy and sell women underground. And a lot of people had a problem with it. Uh, but I just kept writing. I was like, okay, let's go into it and see what happens. Well, what happens is that Maxine, who's a graphic designer, her friend says she's going on this date to this secret club. She doesn't give her a lot of information, and she says, well, it's going to be so much fun. And then the next day, she doesn't come back to work. And then the next day, she still doesn't come back to work. So Maxine realizes that her friend has come up missing. So she follows her friend and joins the society to find her friend. And she gets involved with the Philip, who is part of the society, and she gets owned by him. But all this time, she's still trying to find out what happened to her friend and what's going on and what is the society all about, all the while trying to resist Philip as well. But not trying to get in trouble. Okay, so but that was pretty fun. And actually, as if you buy this as an ebook, it comes in 4 books. But as a paperback, it's all one big book. You get the whole 4 books in one. Because I was not about to print 4 books for one book. Okay, that's enough. People would ask me, they were like, why didn't you just split the books up like you did? Because it's 4 different covers. They're all kind of the same thing. She has a mask on her face, and each time there's, or a mask on the book cover, and it changes each time. And they were like, why didn't you split it up for paperback owners? And I was like, because the reward is that you got a paperback. You did all that work to get a paperback. You should get something in return for doing all that work to get that paperback. So that's your reward. You get all 4 books in one. So lastly, my last paperback that I published, and even though I have, after this book, I do have 4 more books after this. 4 books. This is actually, I want to say my 48th book. So Beautiful is, I guess it was an ode to my daughters. They were all graduating, and from high school. My last daughter was graduating from high school when I started writing this, and it was about finding beautiful in all the wrong places. I think as we go into adulthood, we forget where our beautiful is. I think children know where their beautiful is. That's why they're so confident and unfearful and just their life. And then as we realize all the adult things, we kind of forget that our beautiful is inside. So Maxine is really Madison, she's a DNA splicer, and she just feels like her beautiful is not there, and she goes out in the world, and this is she meets 2 brothers. She meets 2 brothers, but during that time, all the while finding her beautiful, her work gets stolen, and this is all about her trying to find out who stole her work. Was it the 2 brothers that she's slowly falling in love with, or was it the people who are close to you? And we realize the truth about who she is, what she is, and how she needs to change her outlook on life in order to keep what is valuable to her, not only her work but herself. Mm-hmm. So this was a really good ode to my daughters, but of course I had to make it urban suspense as well. I just can't get away from trying to kill somebody in my books. I don't know why. I just I think it's the Detroiter in me, Says, hey, I can't be like the criminals out on the street. I'm just gonna go and write it down though. So that was my 48th book, and since then I know I am going to be printing out Black's Innocence, but that's my last book I have written. But they're having so many printing problems, or they're overloaded with printing problems at Amazon. It's like just trying to get back books is just so that's why it's like when I come on Queenie, I'm gonna make sure the books that I send out, I'm sending them out. They're gonna be here in my lap. So yeah, we have that one like on hold, but we have like we're just waiting for them to approve it. So, but yeah, like I said, subscribe to my website and then you'll be able to get a book. You'll be
Okay.
able to be updated about new books that are coming out. So
And what's your
definitely.
website?
My website is sylviahubbard.com. And you can just click on the book section and all my books will just pop up. All the book covers will pop up and you can go to each book cover and find out more about them, more about the series, and just find out more. And I'm always blogging about new and updated books as well.
Well, thank you for coming in today, Sylvia. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Oh, and my Cash App is Hub Books, HUBBOOKS, like my last name and books, Hub Books. So if you're interested, if you're interested, each book here is $10 today. Plus, you get a bonus book of If I Were Your Woman. You'll get a bonus and a reading package if you order from Queenie today. So you'll get a reading package plus a book for $10 in the mail by 7 days. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it, Sylvia.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing what you do. You are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Our next author is Nisha Brown, and we'll be right back. Bye.